Hello, on today's episode, we have author Eugenia, Confessions of a Frustrated Millennial, on the podcast to introduce us into our season of adulting. I'm so happy she was able to come. I read her book because I seen it on Instagram. I forgot who I seen it through. I don't really know, but it was like 2 years ago, and I read it within a whole weekend. So that must mean the book is really good because 8 months later, I still ain't done with Michelle Obama's book, but it's okay. So I just want to introduce her and say thank her for coming on the show and just introduce herself and tell us a little about her journey, about writing the book, being an author, and also just like being a millennial and different things like that. So, hey, girl.
Hey, Alicia, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good, good.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know exactly where to start. But so I wrote Confessions of a Frustrated Millennial about, I would say around like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
Just on and off. It took me a long time to actually, compile all my thoughts to kind of create the characters and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
and decided to publish it in 2017. And it's just been history from there. So I just was, I'm still like, surprised, that people really like the book, and I'm just so happy that people, really resonate with the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely been a journey.
Yeah, that I think is when I got in 2017 and I read it.
Hmm.
So like, what made you write the book?
Hmm.
Uh, well, I guess like over the 4 to 5 years, like, were you a character? I think I really wanted, like, were you a character in the book? Do you feel like, or do you feel like it was just like your surroundings and stuff like that, and your friends or something?
Well, ironically, I am like a all of the characters. So there's
Oh,
three characters in the book, um, and I felt like I was all of them at one point in my life. Um,
mm-hmm.
Maybe not to the same extent, like not verbatim their actual
Yeah.
life,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt like I empathize with them very much. So, like for example, Natasha, she is the one that was stuck in a dead end job, had a horrible
Mm-hmm.
boss, and
Yes.
I have experienced that in my life. And also Danielle, she's an aspiring Broadway actress. She's basically trying to get these auditions, and it's not panning out. And so, like, you know, I don't saying I'm not on Broadway, but like I can understand the rejection, and
Mm-hmm.
I can understand, like, being a creative, and not getting that not getting that
Mm-hmm.
feedback.
Yes, that actually made me want to go to a Broadway show
Oh, really?
after
Oh,
reading your book.
good.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
never like I hear about it all the time, but I don't really hear about it. But like reading,
yeah,
so I'm like, okay, this might be interesting. Like go watch and stuff like that. And as in like I am a creative, also, like
yeah.
I do podcasts clearly and blog and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So also it does kind of resonate and like trying to figure out like where you want to go, how you want to do it,
Yeah,
and just trying to figure out like that next step. What was
yeah.
the other girl's name? I kind of forgot her name now.
Jayla. So Jayla,
Jayla. She was the
she
one with the boyfriend or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
yeah.
See, I gave it to my friend actually, and she still has my book, so I ain't got it back yet. I'm
Okay.
like, girl, come on. But yes, I think
Yeah.
Jayla was my girl. She was really. I don't.
Yes, yes.
I want them to get the book, so I don't want to give too much away
Yeah,
in the book.
yeah. Yeah, it's so funny because, like, I wrote all three, but Jayla is kind of like my favorite a little bit because I can resonate so well, and I think many other women can resonate with Jayla's story. She graduated from law school. It's expected that she succeed and climb up the corporate
Mhm.
ladder in that aspect, but she can't get a job. And so I
Mhm.
think, like, a lot of people, especially when you first graduate, you have these expectations of how life will be after you
Yeah.
graduate,
Jayla's
and
me right now, honestly. Mhm. Like
and so it's just kind of like up in the air. I
crazy.
just felt like like I felt that way, like twice, like when I got my bachelor's
Mhm.
degree and when I got my master's degree.
Right.
And it's kind of like, you know um up in when you're in school, everything is planned out. So, like when you're a junior in high school, you're going to go into your senior year.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in college, if you go from your first and second year, whatever, you know what to expect. Whereas when you are, an adult, it's like things aren't going to go as you expect. Just because you're the most
Mm-hmm.
qualified person for the job doesn't mean you can
Don't mean
get
you're
it.
gonna get it right.
You know,
That's a word.
right. So, I just, have experienced that so many times. And then you have her cousin Sydney, which kind of represents, those people that, are doing so well. You're at the same level, like you grew up together. And, Sydney, she has the great fiance. She has the skinny little body. She has
Mm-hmm.
everything, the job and everything like that. And on top of that, she's a like a narcissist. So, like she kind of, downgrades Jayla to kind of make herself feel better. And so, like writing that story, I felt like definitely resonates with a lot of people. And not saying like we should compare, but, like sometimes the grass isn't greener. Like what you see on
Mm-hmm.
social media and people doing, super, super well. We don't know their whole story. Everybody shows their highlights. And I felt like with Sydney, that's what she does. Yeah, I think like all of them, I intentionally had them to not be, not know each other, because I wanted them to all have their own stories. But I
Okay,
wanted them,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I really liked how
yeah.
like you broke it up,
Hmm.
and then it was like going, but it was like going back and forth, but like the story still continues and
Hmm.
goes with each other.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did it on purpose, like you didn't want them to be friends because you didn't want them.
Yeah, I
You
feel
wanted to show
like,
like their own path.
right. I felt like, I didn't want it to be like a little cliche sometimes. I feel like, okay, like we're all friends, we're gonna get through this adulting together. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's, like, they all had their own friends and at in some type of way. Jayla kind of didn't that much because she moved back. And, so she's kind of dealing with a lot of stuff on her own. And like, sometimes it's kind of lonely. So
Yes.
I intentionally kind of had like, and Natasha, she had her work friends, and Jayla had her, roommate and friends. But I wanted them all to have their own different stories, but I
Their
wanted
life.
them to go through their own
But
stages.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's really true. Um, and I think that it could resonate like with a lot of people and everything that's going on, because that's why I was like, oh yeah, that's me right there, like
Right.
trying to figure out life, just graduating. You're like, oh yeah, I'm about to live this life of luxury, this that,
Hmm.
and it's like, oh, life humbles you real quick. That's why I was like,
Right.
this season I want to talk about adulting and just like being
Hmm.
transparent and like the different things that's happened and stuff like that. Because I mean, my podcast is called Millennial Thoughts, so
Hmm.
these are different things that are going on in the world and stuff like that. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, you would be a perfect person because
Oh.
you wrote a book and I read the book, and and just to be able to like talk about like how adulting humbles you so quick, or like
Oh yeah.
how you just don't know like what you're doing and where you're going. And I just feel like that's like a conversation that's really not had in a lot of people, like in general. Like it's just not had. It's just like, okay, you go to school, you get a job, you do this or whatever, but then it's
Hmm.
like creators is like, okay, well, what job do you do? You want a job that you want to, that you love.
Right.
Sometimes you can't find a job that you love, but sometimes it's like you don't really want a job that don't make that much money. Like I went to school
Right.
all this time and they preach higher ed, higher ed, higher ed. Then you get out
Right.
of school and you
Right.
get paid minimum wage. Like
Right.
what did I go to school for that?
Right.
And so I know a lot of people are like trying to work on their own, but that's still a whole nother project because you're trying to find clients and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Now that's so hard to me. I don't know if I might want to be a freelancer, but trying to be a coach and get paid clients and stuff like that, ooh, that just sounds like a headache.
But there are
So
people out
I
there
don't.
doing that, and it's just
They
like,
are, yeah,
yeah.
they are out there, but I just don't know. I don't know if that's for me or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
And so I just wanted to like talk about it. Also, what did you get your degrees in? Was it in writing or was it something completely different?
No, well, somewhat. I got my bachelor's degree in journalism. And it
Okay.
was kind of funny because when I was younger, I always loved stories. I love to write. I would write little short
Me
stories.
too. Yeah.
And at one point, I thought somebody probably told me that, writers don't like make a lot of money. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, what's the alternative? Journalism.
Okay.
And so it's very funny. I've got my bachelor's in journalism right at the time when like the print industry was kind of dying. And so
Mm-hmm.
and that was my specialty. And
Oh.
so I was like, oh, well, it's time to go back to school. And so
Literally.
I was looking into like public relations really.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got my master's in integrated marketing communications, um, uh, and that's the field I'm in now. So I'm in like marketing content for a nonprofit, and
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so
I see.
it's my 9 to 5 job, but I like what I do, and it
Mm-hmm.
can afford me to do my stuff as an author and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it was a long journey to get, like, quite a few jobs to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering. I think I do remember you saying something about journalism.
Hmm.
That's so funny because actually I am writing a book. Well, I don't know if I'm going to write a book
Okay.
for a series,
Yeah.
but one of my characters is actually like a journalist, and that's funny. And it's
Well, that
really
would
because
suit you.
I know what'd you say.
That would suit you. You're like your podcast reporter. And,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I think that's funny.
Hmm.
Because I've been wanting to write a book, stuff like that, or whatever. And I was like, just watching like Living Single and stuff like that. Like,
Hmm.
I wanted to be like a TV show, or whatever. And I was like looking
Hmm.
at the different characters and seeing stuff, but trying to put a little bit of me in it as
Hmm.
well. And
Yeah.
so I just thought that that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, because adulting is like so crazy.
Hmm.
So do you think? I guess before we dive into like, I guess like adulting or whatever. But do you think that you would write another book? Like, do you think that you're going to keep on going with this series, or do you feel like you like that, but you want to do like other things with writing?
I, who knows where the, where I could go. I guess, I was trying to end the book where it was, because
Mm-hmm.
if for the people that haven't read the book, it does kind of sum up kind of towards the end. So, I didn't leave it open for a sequel. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah. I see what you're
yeah.
saying. Yeah, I didn't want to get into it. I was like, oop, let me not say that part.
Yeah,
But yeah,
well, yeah,
I do
yeah,
see
right.
what you're saying.
But for right now, like I'm working on a second book, and it's slightly different, but it does kind of follow the millennial tones, the things that we go through. But I mean, I think like I have a variety of writing, so like I'm trying to work on also a screenplay, and so like but kind of following along that same aspects. I kind of like the um kind of like well my writer Shiro is Issa Rae, so
Yes,
like
Issa.
yes,
Love.
right, like her seeing like how she like brought up relatable characters even back to her adventures of a awkward
Awkward Black
black
Girl.
girl, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, that's it, that's me. And so like so I was like, okay, we can have I think it would be great to have more stories like that, something that you know it's the characters are a little bit more complex, and there's
Mhm.
stuff they're going through, and just general life stuff. I feel like we have a lot of books out there, um and they're most of them are very great when it comes to life, but like black girl stories are very important, I feel like.
Mhm.
So
Yes, I
that are
love Issa
uniquely
Rae.
ours.
I didn't even know nothing about Aqua Black Girl, but I watched Insecure. Then I watched
Hmm.
Aqua Black Girl, so I
Yeah.
came up, late on it.
Hmm.
I wish I could do so much stuff. Like, yes, she had her own web series and stuff like that,
Hmm.
but my technical side gets away from me so much. I'm just like, I just want to focus on writing. Like, I have so many books that I can write.
Yeah, of
It's about like
course.
young black girls and stuff like that.
Right.
But I'm like, I have to get through the pressures of like, well, not even pressures, but like thinking about like publishing and doing this and doing that. And so I feel like stuff is out there, but then it's like not out there. You got to find it your
Yeah,
way and stuff like that.
yeah, it's almost like you have to dig through it. Like I just discovered author Jasmine Garoy. I'm probably saying her last name wrong, but she's kind of like a black chick lit author, and like she has all these books. I discovered her at the airport, her book at the airport, and I was
Oh,
like, oh, this
yeah.
is great.
Right. I need my book to be in the airport. Shoot.
Right. Well, I need my book to be airport. But I mean,
Right.
but yeah, I was like, wow, I never like knew about her, and like apparently she's very popular. But it's almost like it's uh I don't there are certain books that are more put out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great to like discover those finds and read them, and like her book has been fantastic.
Oh, so you read it?
Oh, I'm reading it.
Oh, you're reading
Yeah.
it. You're reading it
Yeah,
now.
the wedding planner. So yeah,
Oh,
I think
okay. Yeah, I see what you're
I think
saying.
that's what it's called.
Yeah,
No,
I read like Issa Rae's book last year. Gabrielle Union's book is
oh,
really
the wedding
inspiring.
party. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I haven't heard of that one before. But I read Issa Rae and Gabrielle Union's, and I was supposed to read Tiffany Haddish. But like, of course, like they're gonna be put
Hmm.
out more because, like, they're famous women
Right.
and stuff,
Yeah, of
and so like
course.
so
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I just think that it really is important. It's like, oh my gosh, I see so many like Black women authors now. Which when
Hmm.
I was growing up, I did read, but like you were saying, like I wrote stories. I did my own stories. I've been writing books since 2017, but it's been
Hmm.
off and on. So hopefully the novel can come out. But they're like two different completely written books. But I just feel like within writing a book and stuff like that support system, I don't really have writers around me. Like I blog. I used to blog. I'm about to create another blog.
Hmm.
I don't really have like that support system around me, like, oh, who wants to write a book, or like writing together and like going to different writing things. I started doing it on my own and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I wish it was like a writers group, like a meet weekly writers group or
Yeah.
something like that. Even if it's like online, it's just like, okay, write your book. Have any questions? Do that. I think that's something that a lot of creators may be lacking. Lacking is because everybody's all over the world, and then the people that's in your hometown or where you live at, they don't really necessarily know what you're doing or know what you want to put out and how like serious it is, or like people like say like how much of it is your baby or whatever.
Right.
And so I think like that also affects different ways of trying to put out content out there, whether it's a book,
Hmm.
podcast, YouTube channel.
Yeah. I mean, I had to literally seek out and they're out there like different type of writing groups. There's
Mm-hmm.
one I can't think of the handle. I think it's Brown Girl Writers or
Mm-hmm.
something, but they have like writing tips. They also feature writers. But they're out there. There are also various book clubs that um, cater to African American books. But I think like it's just more of seeking them out. Um, but yeah, it's definitely not something that like you see. Like I see other book clubs or that are very big and well known.
Mm-hmm.
You almost have to like for us, you have to kind of dig.
Yeah.
That can be a little
Yeah, yeah, I
frustrating.
see what you're saying. And so I guess within that, like adulting, like the book and how we're like life as a millennial, do you feel like it's helped you, or do you like writing the book or even your experience, do you feel like it's helped you more with adulting, or like hurt you more with adulting, like from your dream of when you graduated, where you thought that you were going to be at in life and you thought that you were going to do your dreams and stuff like that? How has like it shaped your experience?
I thought it was very cathartic to write the book because where I was in my life, actually, one of the jobs, my first job out of grad school, I got let go. And so I
Mm-hmm.
was like kind of angry about that. And
Yeah.
so that's when I kind of wrote Natasha. And I then kind of like, as time went on, I'm like, okay, let me kind of like I wanted to focus on other characters as well, but I knew each one of them couldn't be a book. So I wanted to kind of combine them all. And so that's when I came up with the other characters. But it was very kind of like, um, you know, cathartic to write it because, I felt like, okay, well, I'm a person of faith. So I'm like, God is writing my story and I'm
Mhm.
writing their story. So,
Mhm.
and my story has still been being written. And so, I kind of felt like I had a bit of control with the book, more so than I had over my own life.
Your life, right? I feel
So,
that.
right. So I knew that, how the characters, how they would go, the journeys they would face and everything like that. I knew how it was going to end. I knew everything. And so, like that gave me, I guess a bit of hope, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think like uh and also when I wrote this, I was in my 20s. So like
Mhm.
currently now I'm 33 and
Okay.
yeah, so I mean, like, I'm an older millennial, but
Mhm.
like I have learned a lot over the time since I wrote the book, and it's slightly a little bit different. So I feel like I have a little bit more direction in my life now, whereas
Mhm.
10 years ago it was like, uh,
Pretty
what
much.
am I gonna do?
Mhm. I think that's where I'm at. I'm 24.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm like,
okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean,
no,
you figure it out.
yes, I hope so.
Yeah, yeah.
So what? So would you want to become a full time writer, or do you like what you're doing now? But
Yeah.
you.
Well, I like what I'm doing now, but I want to be like ultimately the full time writer. Like if I can reach Shonda Rhimes money, that would be great.
Would
Right?
you want your something to be turned into a TV show or a movie or something like that? That's
Yeah. I mean that would
who
be
can do
great.
the Ava DuVernay? That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking about pitching.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they
I
because
agree.
she because that book Queen Sugar. What?
Yeah.
That's a book.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
she just took it. Yeah, Queen Sugar's a book, and she just talked to the author
Wow.
and made it into a TV show. Did you
Wow.
didn't
No,
did you
I
watch
never
Queen
knew
Sugar?
that. No, I never knew that. I've heard of the show. I never, unfortunately, I haven't watched the show, but I heard it's really good. I
Yo, it's one of my favorite
yeah,
shows.
I have to like come in. I feel like I don't want to come in like the late. I don't know what season it is, but I got to
Okay.
start from
Do you
season
have
one.
Netflix or Hulu?
I do have Hulu, so I mean,
Oh, I think the first season is on Hulu and
oh,
like
okay,
second season on Netflix or
okay,
something like that.
it's good to know.
Yeah, I think it's going to be about the fourth season, so you will be coming
Wow,
in late, but
yeah,
I won't tell nobody.
okay,
But I think I didn't read the book, but I do know that it's a book, and they, of
Mhm.
course, they change stuff within it. So
Yeah,
I'm like, well, shoot, let me keep writing some books, and
right,
hopefully Amber DuVernay be like, Alicia,
right, right,
like let me
yeah,
come and change that into a thing. I
yeah,
also like the idea of like producing and stuff like that, but the editing and all that stuff, I don't got time for that.
right,
Uh, so
right.
yeah, so I do know a lot of people have stories and like they want to write and things like that.
Mhm.
And writing could be a form of like therapy and expression
Yes,
and
yes, it
stuff.
is.
And so, people who would want to be a writer, like, do you have any tips for them? Do you have any like things that they should do or listen to if they want to step foot into the writing mantra, whatever that word is?
Yeah, I would just say like I know it sounds cliche, and I have to do this myself because first of all, I'm a big procrastinator. Clearly, because my first book was in 2017, and it's almost 2020. Yeah, and I'm still writing the second book. However, I would say like try to write every day and have a goal. I
Mhm.
think that's the biggest thing is like having goals to set for yourself. Sometimes I literally have to put like dates in my calendar to be like finish chapters 5, or set aside time to whether it's an hour. I write on my lunch break now. I write when I'm on my commute sometimes.
Oh
um
yeah.
so I mean, or it can be like just it can be 100 words a day, it can be a page a day. But like set a goal, or even over the weekends trying to find some time to be like, okay, let me look at it. But I think like once you get in a habit, it becomes a bit easier because sometimes it's like you take a break, it can't get harder to get back into the swing of things. And also every writer is very different. So like with me, sometimes it's like I take a break from a story because I'm not liking the direction it's going. Then I
Mm-hmm.
come back and I'm like, oh, this was dope. Okay.
Right, you gotta read it again. Like, hold on,
Right,
okay, I thought
right.
about this. Okay,
I'm
hold
like, this
on.
is good. This is pretty good. And
Mhm.
so or I start writing another story, the kind of like, keep it, fresh.
Mhm.
Because I mean, that's what I did with my first book. Like, I wrote, I was freelancing for about 2 years, and like in between jobs, I would be like, okay, let me go back to it,
How
and
was that freelancing?
it was not fun for me, but I didn't like the unstability.
Mhm.
But it was interesting. Like I had a chance to work at a PR agency where um, I tweeted on behalf of McDonald's. That was pretty cool. Like I had other jobs where like the contracts would end. Like it'll last for a year or it will last for 3 months.
Mhm.
So like that type of thing. Like it was okay, but if you're a freelancer, like I heard about freelancers that have steady contracts and work and stuff like that, like that's great. But if it's like you don't know, if you're
Where
gonna
your
have
next
right
paycheck is
where
gonna
your next
come.
paycheck is gonna come from, it was like, this ain't the life for me. So I went back to 9 to 5. But it was, but I don't mind. Like I think a lot of people are like, you don't have to do that. You can, you know, uh, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think everybody is different. You find where you can, what suits you. But I think like there's nothing wrong with having a regular job, but don't forget about your dream job. And I think that's the biggest thing is that, you know, um, just keeping focused. Like I remember, I think there's a quote by Denzel Washington, like, you do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. And so,
Mhm.
like, that has always been my mantra, you know, since I heard that that line. I was like, I get it. Like you do
Mhm.
what you have to do so you can do what you want to do, and your side hustle overtakes your main hustle. And
Yes, I know
look,
everybody has a side hustle. Have you ever thought about like doing speaking engagements or like going on tour with your book and stuff like that? Like, is that something that you would like, or you're not really like a speaker type of
I mean,
promotion type of?
I do get a little nervous with crowds, but I wouldn't mind doing a book tour. I think that I just don't know how that would go. I don't know if there's somebody I have to call or something.
Yeah, you
Like
set up your
what
own
do I
book.
do?
I guess I don't know. She set up your own book tour. That's what I'm saying. That's the
Yeah,
thing that I'm talking about. Like, I don't know. People don't know. You be like, I've been seeing people in Barnes and Noble, people do books over here doing book tour. Be like, let me come talk to this audience or whatever. I'm like, how do y'all
right.
do that? Like,
Right. I'm like, do you have a
mm,
person? And then sometimes, like, I think the people that do book tours, like, I was like, I'm an indie publisher.
mm-hmm.
So, but there's a lot of people that have traditional publishers. So they have the hookups, the agent
That's
and
true.
everything. So I'm just
So,
like,
so
I don't
what
have
is
that.
like the right? So for people, so there is two different type of publishing for people who do want to do independent publisher. Like,
Hmm.
can you speak to your experience on that? Like, what is that like, or
Hmm.
how you thought about doing that?
Yeah. So, like, I tried to go the route of like getting a literary agent. And it can be a little difficult. I think that, like some of them are kind of like they're thinking of one way, like what's hot right now, and nobody wants to read this. Like I had literary agents before tell me, like, well, this has been done before. I'm like, no, it has not.
Mm-hmm.
um, but like I think I just felt really confident about my book that I was like, it's okay. I'll just go through the self-publishing route. And I went through like indie publishing to self-publishing. And like I've gotten a lot of good feedback based upon it. I've had even one interest in a film. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like clearly that literary agent was wrong. And
Right.
I but like I understand like there's a beauty in traditional publishing because I wouldn't have to do as much legwork as
Mm-hmm.
would have to do as an indie publisher. But I think it's just more of you know um supply and demand. If people really like your book, I've
Yeah,
seen
they're gonna
indie
get it.
publishers. Yeah, I've seen indie
Hmm.
like writers go really big.
Yeah,
Um,
and also like sometimes with if you are with a publisher, they might not let you do so much. Like say you offered a film,
right.
they might be like you can't do a film. But if it's you yourself, you're like I can do whatever I want to do.
Right, right. So,
So.
like everything is kind of like, in your court. The one also thing that I liked about indie publishing was that full creative control. Like I have
Mhm.
some Christian elements in the book, and I know probably with some traditional publishers, they're like, I don't know about this. So
Mhm.
like I was able to keep everything that I wanted in the book. Whereas I've heard about some that they can switch it around or take a character
Yeah,
out
it's
or
true.
change your plot completely.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you go with because I
yeah.
know Yvonne Orji, she's writing a book talking
Mhm.
about
Mhm.
Jesus bamboozled me or something like that. And
Mhm.
that's all Christian. So but
Mhm.
also she has a higher leverage too. She's like
Right. True.
a whole
True.
comedian actress. So they might have
Yeah.
just found her and stuff like that.
True.
Do you think that you have a goal to what is it called to have your book New York Best Time Seller? Or not really.
I mean,
Like it's a goal, but it's not something that you have to like.
yeah. That will be like a dream, literally.
Yeah.
To
Hmm. Yeah.
be a New York Times. But I think that's every author's
Mhm.
dream is to do that.
Yeah, I
That
guess it's like a dream, but it's like yeah, it's like a dream, but it's not like a goal. Like you're not gonna like run yourself crazy trying to be on New York Times bestseller. That's what I guess.
No, no. I mean, it's not like I, I'm not trying to be like, okay, if this second book or first book doesn't become a New York Times bestseller, I'm
Hmm.
done.
Yeah,
No,
like it's a dream, not like a goal. Like 2020, I need to be.
yeah,
That's
no.
what
I
I'm
mean, like in my lifetime, though, it would be great
dope.
to have
Hmm.
be a New York Times bestseller. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, there are perks that come to the industry recognizes you and stuff like that. There's
Yeah.
film opportunities. That there are all of that, and so
Yes, I looked
yeah,
at that, but that's why I was asking because I feel like it's kind of hard because it's like you gotta sell,
yeah,
you gotta pre-sell your books before some time, and they gotta
yeah,
read it. That I'm like that just sounds like a headache to me. So,
yeah.
um,
Like I don't know, like I'm still learning, and here's the thing about like even being an author, like I'm still learning about like the business and the literary business.
mhm.
Like I went to a conference and I talked to two other Christian authors, and they were telling me different ways of like how to get my book out there, and I was like, wow, why I've never heard about this. And so I think like I'm still learning how to even get it out there. Whereas some authors, like they, you know, there are some people that, they have published a book and is never gone anywhere. And there are some people that they published a book and it's like on the New York Times bestseller, and you're like, how did that happen? They must have knew a lot of
Right?
people. So, like I'm still learning in the marketing aspect, which is, lucky I have a marketing degree to kind of understand that.
Hmm.
But it's a business as well. So, you're like, okay, business slash creative. Um,
Right, that's true.
yeah.
Like yeah, mark your business. Have you like, do you document your journey into it or not really? You just like learn about it and keep it to yourself and just do like things in the behind the scenes.
When you say like document, do you mean like what I'm writing on now?
Yeah, like I don't know,
Okay.
like if you have a blog or something like that, a website, or
Actually,
like if you
it
record some.
it's kind of funny. I decided. I guess this is a good way to announce, but so
Yay.
uh, so I do have a Confessions of a Frustrated Millennial.com website, and
Hmm.
there is a blog function in there which I have left dormant for a good 2 years. And
2 years,
so,
it's okay.
yeah,
It's
I
okay.
just haven't, because I've been mostly, I have the frustrated book, frustrated millennial book handle and Instagram. So that has been my main kind of marketing aspect and journey aspect. However, I do recognize like, a blog would be helpful, especially, talking about, even confessions, of my different confessions or just being a millennial.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or you can get like other millennials or whatever, like other. You can do guest bloggers too. People do that a
that's
lot now.
true. That's true. Thank you for the idea.
You're welcome.
And so yeah.
I'll write because I'm
Yeah,
frustrated.
yes, you can write on my blog, be a guest
Yes.
blogger. So yeah, yes. So I'm trying to revive that blog on my website, and I don't have a ton of time because I'm like I'm writing also my second book, and I have a job, so like I'm gonna try to at least have at least one post a month if possible.
Hmm.
But I realize it is a feature that I'm like, okay, why am I not using this? And I
Yeah,
should
but
be.
yeah, like you already have it. Hmm.
Right, right. So yeah, so it'll be I'll be debuting it next month, next year.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'm starting to vlog too next year. Well,
uh
I guess when this comes out, it'll be
yeah.
2020. But
Mhm.
that's a whole nother story. Because
Yeah.
child,
Mhm.
that's what I'm saying. The creative, the blogging, it's all hard out here for real,
Yeah.
for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. So, is there anything else that you would like to tell the audience? Oh, where they can get your book, where they can like follow you, any other
Yeah.
tips?
So well, my book is can be found on Amazon, and it's available in Kindle and also paperback copies. Also, it's available on my website. If you can go to confessionsofafrustratedmillennial.com or eugeniajefferson.com. Probably you want to go to the Confessions of a Frustrated Millennial. A lot of people misspell my
Mhm.
name, so and you can purchase the book through my website directly. And also, if you have read it, please leave a good review on
Yeah,
Amazon.
on Amazon. Yes, I
uh
should go. I haven't been on Amazon on there, but I
yeah.
could go through the review
Yeah,
on
and
Amazon.
I have my Instagram handle, Frustrated Millennial Book. And I have my personal, if you like to laugh, my personal page, Lady Genie, Gini,
Yes, she always
Peni.
posts memes.
86. If you like memes, I like to
Yeah,
laugh.
what made you do that? You just like memes, or you just like I repost them?
I
Like,
literally, I just like to laugh. So like, on a side, even though I'm very much of an introvert, I just like comedy, and
hmm
so that's kind of like introduced me into like I want to get into like maybe a bit of comedy writing. Um,
hmm
and so like there's so much stuff on the internet that is just so funny, so I'm just like I
so
I
hilarious.
literally just find it and repost it on my page because I think it's
Right?
hilarious, and I know
I'm like, oh my gosh. Sometimes, like, I wish I could be a comedian. I can't think of jokes like that. But yeah, I be cracking. I be like, what? The internet is so
it is so
wild.
wild. So I try not to post like too vulgar or too offensive stuff, but I mean it's if you like to laugh, please follow my personal
Yes.
handle as well. So yeah, so
Do you
that
have
is
a
it.
like page on Facebook or anything or Twitter? I don't know. I just
Yeah, Twitter. Well, I have my Twitter page, Er Jefferson, and but I would say the main, if you're interested in
Instagram.
learning about the book and millennial stuff, is probably the Frustrated Millennial Book handle on Instagram, and that's only on Instagram for right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I see what you're
yeah,
saying. Yes. So, that's cool. I would like to say thank you
yeah, yeah.
for
Thank you.
interviewing with me and talking about adulting life
Yes,
as a writer and everything.
yes.
And everything
It's
under
my
the sun
pleasure.
about it.
My pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Um, you're welcome. And so you all can go and get a book on her website. Did you still want to do a giveaway or
Yeah, yeah, that
a
would be
giveaway
great.
for it? So if you want to enter the giveaway, you have to follow her on Instagram and follow Millennial Thoughts, and then just like comment your favorite part of the episode. Comment your favorite part, and then I guess we'll choose some winners.
Yeah, that would be great.
And so yeah, dates coming. The date will be coming out soon. So
Okay.
thank you so
All right.
much, and
Thank you.
you're welcome. And hopefully y'all enjoy this episode and stay tuned for another episode coming soon. Have a great day.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. You're welcome. Bye.